Hello students, today we are going to read the chapter The Kingdom of Fools from the supplementary reader Moments. The Kingdom of Fools is a Kannada folk tale. Kannada is a regional language mainly spoken in the state of Karnataka. This story is a Kannada folk tale. A folk tale is a story which is passed from one generation to the another. It is taken from the book Folk Tales from India by R. K. Ramanujan. Now let's talk about the title of the story, The Kingdom of Fools. It means that the state where people are not wise and intelligent. In this story, the king, his ministers, his advisors are fools. And the writer wants to say that when such people rule a kingdom, then what happens has been described in this story. So now let's read the chapter. In the kingdom of fools, both the king and the ministers were idiots. They didn't want to run like other kings. So they decided to change night into day and day into night. So in the kingdom of fools, the minister, the king, they were idiots. They were fools. And they decided to rule the kingdom in their own way. They decided to change night into day and day into night. That means what the work that is done during night will be done during day, and the works that are performed during day will be done at night. They ordered that everyone should be awake at night. So what generally we do? We do our work, we go to office, and we remain awake during day. But the king and his ministers, they ordered that people should be awake at night, till their fields, till means to cultivate their lands, cultivate the fields, and run their business only after dark. So they should start their business only when it is dark. They should till their land, they should cultivate their lands only during night, and go to bed as soon as the sun came up. And as soon as the sun rises, they should go to bed. Anyone who disobeyed would be punished with death. And it was very strictly announced throughout the state, throughout the kingdom, that anybody who would disobey the orders of the king, he would be punished to death. Severe punishment should be given to that particular person. The people did as they were told for the fear of death, and the people were feared for death. And whatever implements were made, whatever orders were passed by the king, people obeyed it for the fear of death. The king and his ministers were delighted at the success of their project. The project was to rule the kingdom in a unique way, to rule the kingdom in their own way. And they were very happy that people were following the instruction, the orders that were passed by them. One day a guru and his disciple arrived in the city. It was a beautiful city. It was broad daylight, but there was no one about. So one day a guru and his disciple, a guru, a religious saint, along with disciple came into the city. The city was very beautiful. It was broad daylight, but no one was found around. Nobody, not even a single human being could be seen on the road. Everyone was asleep. Not a mouse stirring, not even a single mouse could be seen on the road. Even the cattle had been taught to sleep by day. And even the cattle were tamed. They were trained in such a way that they also got accustomed to sleep during day. The two strangers were amazed by what they saw around them and wandered around town till evening. So the two strangers, the king, the guru and his disciple, they were shocked to see that it was broad daylight, but could be seen on the roads. They did not find any shop or any business running around. But they kept on moving throughout the town. When suddenly the whole town woke up and went about its nightly business. And when it was evening, as the sun set, the whole town woke up. That means the business started. The shops were open, the daily business started, and the whole town was in movement. The two men were hungry. The two men, the Guru and his disciple, they were hungry because throughout the day they kept on roaming around the city. But they couldn't find anything to eat because all the shops were closed. Now that the shops were open, they went to buy some groceries. To their astonishment, they found that everything cost the same, a single doodoo. Whatever they bought, a measure of rice or a bunch of banana, it cost a single doodoo. So when they went to the shop, they were surprised because whatever they bought, if they bought a bag of rice, if they bought a bunch of banana, if they bought 10 kg apples, everything cost the same, one doodoo. Doodoo is the currency of that particular kingdom. So whatever they bought, suppose they bought 50 kg rice, if they bought a bunch of banana, if they bought 10 kg apple, everything had the fixed price, that is a single doodoo. The Guru and his disciple were delighted. They were very delighted, both the Guru and the disciple, because everything was very cheap. They had never heard of anything like this. So before, they had wandered throughout many kingdoms, but they had never come across such a kingdom where everything cost a single doodoo. They could buy all the food they wanted for a rupee. For one doodoo, they could buy many things. Everything was very cheap. They were delighted. When they had cooked and eaten, the Guru realized that this was a kingdom of fools and it wouldn't be a good idea for them to stay there. And when they had eaten, after the meal was cooked, the Guru, who was a very renowned person, a religious man, he could understand that they were in the kingdom of fools. And he also understood that it was not good for them to stay in that kingdom, because it was dangerous for them to live among fools. This is no place for us. Let's go. And he told his disciples that it was not a good place for them to stay. They should go away from the place immediately. He said to his disciple, but the disciple didn't want to leave the place. But the disciple didn't want to leave because everything was very cheap. Everything was cheap here. All he wanted was good food, cheap food. And he told his Guru that everything was very cheap there. For a single doodoo, he could get many things. And he wanted to stay there. He wanted to leave. He didn't want to leave that particular place where everything was very, very cheap. The Guru said, they are all fools. That means the people of the kingdom, even the king and the minister, they all were fools. This won't last very long. And you can't tell what they will do you next. And it warned the disciple that he was among the fools. And any moment he could land himself into troubles. What the fools were going to do with him next, it cannot be foretold. So it was very dangerous for them to stay there. But the disciple wouldn't listen to the Guru's wisdom. The Guru had realized, had foreseen the coming trouble, but the disciple wasn't able to listen to his Guru's word. He was very much satisfied. He was very happy to have cheap food. Everything there was very cheap. He wanted to stay. The Guru finally gave up and said, do what you want, I am going. And when the Guru was not able to convince him, he told the disciple that he would stay if he want. And he left. The disciple stayed on, ate his fill every day. The disciple stayed there, and with single doodoo he could get many things. He ate to his full because the food was very cheap. Ate his fill every day, bananas and ghee and rice and wheat, and grew fat like a street side sacred bull. So he kept on eating everything. Fruit, bananas, ghee, everything, because it was very cheap. And within some days, he became very fat, like a bull. One bright day, a thief broke into a rich merchant's house. He had made a hole in the wall and sneaked to enter into a house, to break into a house without being noticed. And he was carrying out his loot. The wall of the old house collapsed on his head and killed him on the spot. So one night, a thief broke into a rich merchant's house. He made a hole into the wall. In earlier days, the thief used to do the same. Earlier, the houses were made of mud, and in villages, in remote areas, the thief used to make a hole into the houses, and then they broke into it. And they stole the house and they left. So, when the thief entered into the house by making a hole into the wall, he made a neat bundle of the belongings, the costly items that he had collected. And when he made a bundle, and when he was to move out of the house, the wall of the old house collapsed on his head and killed him on the spot. The wall through which he had entered, it was a very weak wall, it collapsed on the thief and he died on the spot. His brother ran to the king and complained, "Your Highness, when my brother was pursuing ancient trade, a wall fell on him and killed him." The thief's brother went to the king and told him that when his brother was doing his ancient trade, that means all his family members were involved in theft activities, and that his theft activities, robbery, has been referred here as ancient trade. A wall fell on him and killed him. This merchant is to blame, and he told the king that the merchant's wall fell on his brother, who was continuing, who was doing his ancient trade. That means he was robbing the house. The wall fell on his brother and he died. You must punish him. And he told the king that justice should be done with him, that the king should be punished as the wall had fallen on his brother and he had died. He should have built a good strong wall. You must punish the wrongdoer and compensate the family for his injustice. And he also demanded for compensation. He put the blame on the merchant, that if the wall had not fallen on his brother would have not died. So he demanded compensation from the king for the death of his brother. The king said, "Justice will be done. Don't worry." And at once summoned the owner of the house. And the king also. It is the title of the chapter is the country of fools, the kingdom of fools. The king, instead of punishing scolding the brother, the thief's brother, he said that he would be provided justice. Instead of telling him that his brother was doing wrong thing, his brother was robbing the merchant, the king got ready to compensate him and also to do justice to his dead brother, who was a thief. And he immediately summoned to call someone, official order, to call the merchant immediately into the court. When the merchant arrived, the king questioned him, "What's your name?" And when the merchant arrived, the king asked him his name. "Such and such, your highness." And the merchant told him his name. "Were you at home when the dead man burgled your house?" And the king immediately asked the merchant if he was at home when the thief had broken into his house and the wall had collapsed on him and killed him. "Yes, my lord. He broke. Yes, my lord. He broke in and the wall was weak. It fell on him." And the merchant agreed. He accepted that the wall was weak, that had collapsed. It collapsed on the burglar and it killed him. The accused pleads guilty. The king said, that means the merchant has been accused for killing the thief. So according to him, he had accepted his crime. "Your wall killed this man's brother. You have murdered a man, we have to punish you. And the king told that his wall had killed an innocent burglar, and he had to be punished for that. Lord said the helpless merchant. That means the merchant pleaded, requested the king. I didn't put up that wall. And he told the king that he hadn't built the wall. It's really the fault of the man who built the wall. And he put the blame on the man, the bricklayer who had made the wall. He didn't build it right. He didn't build it right. You should punish him. And he said that he had provided him good materials, good bricks, good cement, even though it was fault of that particular bricklayer who was not able to make a strong wall. So he should be punished for making a weak wall. Who is that? Now the king asked him, who was that man who had built the weak wall? My lord, this wall was built in my father's time. And the merchant said that the wall was built in his father's time. I know the man. He is an old man now. And he said that he knows the man, the bricklayer who had made the wall. And now he is an old man. And he lives nearby. The king sent out messengers to bring in the bricklayer. And the king sent his messengers to bring the bricklayer who built the wall. They brought him tied hand and foot. And the king's soldiers went and they tied the bricklayer was brought. His hands and legs were tied. You there, did you build this man's wall in his father's time? And the king asked the bricklayer if he had built the wall in the merchant's father's time. Yes, my lord, I did. And the bricklayer accepted that he had built the wall. What kind of a wall is that you built? It has fallen on a poor man and killed him. And the king immediately questioned him that what kind of a wall he had made that had fallen on a poor burglar and killed him. You have murdered him. We have to punish you by death. And the king told him that he is a murderer. He had made a weak wall and it had killed that poor burglar. So he would be punished for his crime and to death. Before the king could order the execution, the poor bricklayer pleaded. Before the punishment could be announced by the king, the poor bricklayer pleaded, requested the king, please listen to me before you give your orders. And he requested the king before he should give the final statement, final judgment, he should listen to him. He also had something in his favor to tell the king. It is true, I built this wall and it was no good. And he accepted that he had built the wall, he had constructed, he had made a very weak wall. He accepted it. But that was because my mind was not on it. And he said that when he was making the wall, he could not concentrate in his work. He was building, he was making the wall. But physically he was there, mentally he was not there, he was disturbed. He could not concentrate on his work. I remember very well a dancing girl who was going up and down that street all the day with her anklet jingling. And now he put the blame on a dancing girl. And he said that when he was making the wall, a dancing girl kept on moving frequently up and down in the street. And she was wearing anklets. Anklets means payal. What do you say in Hindi? Chan, chan, chan. That is the sound that we call. The payal ki jo awaaz nikalte jankar. The jingling sound of the anklet, it disturbed him. And he was not able to concentrate on his work. That's the reason why he made a weak wall. And it collapsed and killed the burglar. I couldn't keep my eyes or my mind on the wall. That means on his work. I was building. You must get that dancing girl. I know where she lives. And he told the king that he should immediately call that dancing girl. And he also said that he knows where that dancing girl lives. You are right. The case deepened and the king said yes. The dancing girl is to be blamed. If she had not moved up and down into the street with her anklets jingling, the bricklayer would not have been disturbed, and he would have not made a weak wall, and the burglar would not have been killed. We must look into it. It is not easy to judge such complicated case. And the king said that it was a very complicated case. And it is not very easy for him to pronounce the verdict. But he was adamant for justice. Let's get the dancer wherever she is. And then he ordered his men that they should go and get that dancer. The dancing girl, now an old woman, came trembling to the court. And the dancing girl, now an old woman, came trembling when she had come to know everything, that how she was blamed for disturbing the bricklayer during his work. So she came trembling. Did you walk up and down the street many years ago while this poor man was building a wall? Did you see him? And the king directly asked the dancer that if she remembered that particular day when that particular man, the bricklayer, was making the wall, and she was moving up and down in the street with her anklets jingling. So the king asked her if she remembered that particular incident. Yes, my lord, I remember it very well. And the dancing girl also said that yes, she remembers it. She remembered that the particular day when she was wearing that anklet, that day the bricklayer was building a wall. So you did walk up and down with your anklet jingling. And then the king asked her if she had walked up and down into the street wearing her anklets. You were young and you distracted him. So he built a bad wall. And the king told the dancer that she was young at that time, and when she kept on moving again and again into the street, she had distracted the bricklayer from his work by her beauty and charm, and also by the jingling of the anklets. And so he built a weak wall. It has fallen on a poor burglar and killed him. Now see here, the king has called the burglar a poor man. Instead of blaming the burglar, instead of punishing the burglar's brother, he calls the burglar a poor man. Instead, he should have thanked the bricklayer that his wall managed to kill a burglar who was causing loss to the many people of the kingdom. But here the king was foolish, his ministers were foolish, and his advisors were also foolish. So he calls that burglar who caused harm to a lot of people a poor man. You have killed an innocent man. You will have to be punished. And then he told the girl that she had disturbed the bricklayer. He made a weak wall, and then wall collapsed on a burglar, and he had been killed. So she is a murderer. She is to be punished for that. She thought for a minute and said, "My lord, wait." And then the lady, the dancing girl, she thought for a minute, and then she asked the king to wait. She also had something in her favor to say. Why she kept on moving up and down again and again in the street. I know now why I was walking up and down the street. And she told the king. Now she remembered that particular day why she was moving frequently up and down into the street. So she has to tell the king the reason why she was moving up and down. I had given some gold to the goldsmith to make some jewelry. And she said that she had given some gold to the goldsmith to make some jewelry. He was a lazy scoundrel. She calls that goldsmith, jeweler, a lazy scoundrel. Scoundrel, dishonest person. He made so many excuses. Said he would give it now and he would give it then, and so on all day. So she said that when the goldsmith had said that he would give her jewelry on a particular day in the morning, when she went to the goldsmith, he said that he would complete it after 2 hours. When she went after 2 hours, then he said that at 11 p.m., 11 a.m. Then when she went after 1 hour, then again he said that she should come after some time. Again, so this process was repeated 10 to 12 times. And the lady with her anklet jingling kept on moving from home to the goldsmith, to home to goldsmith, again back to home and the goldsmith. And her anklets were jingling. The bricklayer was making the wall on that particular day, and he was disturbed by the jingling sound of the anklets. He made so many excuses, said he would give it now and he would give it then, and so on all day. He made me walk up and down to his house a dozen times, near about 12 times. He kept on making excuses the same day, and she had to again go back to her house, again come back to the jeweler, repeated actions. That was when this bricklayer saw me, and that the lady said, the dancing girl said, dancing woman, that was the time when she kept from home, she went to the jeweler and back home, back to the jeweler to take her jewelry, and that was the time when the bricklayers saw her. It's not my fault, my lord, it's the damned goldsmith's fault. And she put the blame on that goldsmith. She said that it was not her fault. It was the goldsmith who made her to walk up and down the street with her anklets. And if he would have not made excuses, she would have not moved up and down. And the bricklayer would not have been distracted from his work. The brick wall would not have been made. It would have not collapsed on the burglar, and the burglar would not have died. So she also blamed the goldsmith for making her walk up and down.